Your brain naturally sticks to what's familiar. While efficient, this default mode limits your growth, creativity, and problem solving. Cognitive flexibility training breaks these rigid patterns and allows you to 10x your brain power by adapting your mind to what each situation actually requires. Let's explore 3 levels of cognitive flexibility training to give your mind an edge over the way everyone else thinks by quickly shifting your thinking style, generating multiple solutions, and adapting your approach as quickly as circumstances change. Let's begin. Cognitive flexibility operates on 3 levels. Level 1, category switching, moving between different types of information rapidly. Level 2, rule switching, changing the criteria you use to evaluate situations and information. And level 3, perspective frame switching, shifting your entire framework of understanding. Today, we're training all 3 levels of cognitive flexibility until this powerful skill becomes your default mode of thinking. And for those who stay until the end, I've got exclusive advanced integration techniques that turn these individual exercises into a seamless mental operating system. Before we dive in, grab a notebook or bookmark this video. These exercises are designed for active practice, not just passive watching. For best results, watch now for a quick introduction and understanding of how all this works. But the real transformation happens when you revisit these techniques with dedicated practice. I structured this so that you can easily return to specific exercises when you're ready to train your flexibility in depth. Let's dive in. Level 1, category switching drills. The first exercise is rapid category jumping. I'm going to give you a category, then you generate items as fast as possible for 15 seconds, saying them aloud, then instantly switch to the next category of items I call out. Ready? Fruits. Now switch to tools. And finally, switch to emotions. As you practice this switching, you'll notice how your brain has to shift gears between different types of information. The second exercise for level 1 is the opposite game. Take any opinion you hold and argue the complete opposite for 60 seconds. This isn't about changing your own mind. It's about training your brain to access different reasoning pathways. I'll give you 3 topics. Once you identify which side you naturally support, generate talking points for the opposite position. Now, this exercise helps you understand people who think differently, gives you persuasive talking points, and opens your mind to extract more value from debates and conversations, a skill that becomes natural with practice. Idea 1, if you believe social media is harmful, spend 60 seconds arguing why it's beneficial. Idea 2, whether you're naturally a morning person or evening person, construct a detailed case for why the opposite schedule is actually more beneficial for productivity and well-being. Idea 3, if you typically prefer structure and planning, argue for the benefits of spontaneity and improvisation. If you're naturally spontaneous, make the case for detailed planning and organization. Now I'm curious, are you more of a visual learner, or do you prefer step-by-step processes like this? Comment either visual or process to help me structure the advanced techniques in future videos. Level 2, rule switching. Most people stay at level 1, but you're about to go deeper. Level 2 flexibility is about transforming how you process information by mastering the ability to rapidly reclassify observations and data. Here's how to train for this. Exercise 3, multiple criteria evaluation. Look around your environment. I'll give you 4 different ways to categorize what you see. While you don't need to write these down, I found using pen and paper with a timer helped me sharpen my skills. Use whatever method works best for your brain. Lists, mind maps, or arrows connecting the items. This exercise, when taken seriously, reveals powerful insights about how your mind operates and recalls information. You'll categorize the same objects 4 ways, 30 seconds each. First, by color. Second, by function. Third, by material. And finally, by emotional association. Practicing this, you'll feel your brain's intensity increase as it switches between different evaluation systems, discovering how rapidly you can organize the same information in completely different ways. Exercise 4, Solution Multiplication. This exercise is one of my favorites as a therapist who loves problem solving and flexibility. I'll give you 6 common problems. Pick one and generate 7 solutions in 2 minutes or less. Not one good solution, 7 different approaches. Problem 1, you're running late for an important meeting. Problem 2, you need to save $500 within the next month. Problem 3, you've lost motivation for a project that you need to complete. Problem 4, your living space has become cluttered and disorganized. Problem 5, you're having a recurring conflict with someone you interact with regularly. Problem 6, you're feeling mentally drained but have an important task to complete. For example, with the first problem about running late, different approaches might include leaving immediately, calling ahead, rescheduling, delegating someone else to attend, joining virtually, arriving late with a strategic excuse, or turning lateness into an advantage by bringing valuable last-minute information. The key isn't finding one perfect solution, but training your brain to generate multiple pathways. This flexibility becomes invaluable when your first approach doesn't work or when complex problems require combined strategies. Level 3, Framework Switching. Exercise 5, Perspective Frame Multiplication. Now for our Level 3 exercise, a more advanced application of perspective shifting that builds on my previous video about this powerful technique. If you haven't seen the video yet, I'll link it below for a deeper dive into this process. Now, take any current challenge you're facing and rapidly view it through 5 completely different perspective frames. The scientific frame, what measurable variables and cause-effect relationships exist. Artistic frame, what patterns, aesthetics, or creative elements emerge. Business frame, what costs, benefits, and strategic implications matter here. Psychological frame, what emotions, motivations, and behavior patterns are at play. Spiritual frame, what meaning, purpose, or growth opportunity does this present? This rapid perspective cycling trains your brain to move fluidly between entirely different mental models, the hallmark of elite cognitive flexibility. As you move between these frameworks, you start to realize how each one richly reveals completely different aspects of the same situation. All right, if you're still with me, I've got 2 advanced integration techniques to supercharge your cognitive prowess. Let's dive straight in. Exercise 6, the constraint game, or as I like to refer to it, MacGyvering. We'll take any problem that you're currently working on and try to solve it with artificial constraints. First, solve it with only resources you have in the room. Second, solve it as if you had unlimited money but only 24 hours. Third, solve it as if you were 12 years old. And fourth, solve it as if you were explaining it to someone from another culture. Each constraint forces your brain into different solution pathways. Exercise 7, the assumption flip. You'll want to list 3 assumptions you're making about a current situation. Now flip each assumption and explore what becomes possible. If you assume, I don't have enough time, flip that to, I have exactly the right amount of time. If you assume, this is too difficult, flip that to, this is exactly the right level of challenge. You'll find that flipping assumptions opens up solution spaces you never knew existed. You begin to understand that most limitations are really self-imposed mental constraints. As you practice these exercises consistently, you'll notice your brain becoming more agile and adaptable. You'll discover that mental flexibility comes natural to you and enjoy the various advantages that brings. Know this, cognitive flexibility isn't limited to thinking differently. It's more about accessing the full range of your mental capability. When you can switch between analytical and creative thinking, between detailed and big picture perspectives, between logical and intuitive approaches, you become intellectually unstoppable. Rigid thinking creates rigid results. Flexible thinking creates infinite possibilities. You now have the tools to break out of any mental rut. You can access different thinking styles based on what each situation requires. You're discovering that mental flexibility becomes your greatest competitive advantage. Your enhanced cognitive flexibility training is now ready whenever you are.